Hey hackers, Blue Cosmo from CCS here, and welcome to Module 7 of the Introduction to Python 3 course. Today we're going to be talking about some pretty easy topics, just methods and functions really. And it should be pretty straightforward because we are more than halfway through the course now, module-wise. And it should be pretty straightforward. So let's actually just jump into it. So you should be able to see my screen now. And so let's open up our text editor, and we are using Python idle. All right, so let's save this and go over to our folder that has all of our modules in it, and we're going to make a new one. And we're going to call this Module 7, and then we open Module 7, and we can call this string methods.py. All right, and I just have this open on the side. I don't know if you can hear my dogs trying to sniffing under the door, but yeah. So like I've mentioned before, a method is just a function of a class or a function of a module or an object, right? If you don't know what a class is, we're going to get into that in module 11, so don't worry about that. We have different modules for different objects. So for strings, we're going to just be talking about some of the methods that are specific to strings. So I'll just call this string methods. All right, and then our first method we're going to be talking about is the join method. Well, actually, string method and functions. So we're going to do join method, and our join method basically joins or connects a list of strings with an indicated separator. All right, so we can print comma, and we're going to join our list. We're going to have a list saying hello and world. So we can join these strings together with this comma as a separator. All right, so when we print this out, it will print hello comma world. There you go. You can it's pretty straightforward, so it joins it using this comma, right? If we made another word, it would join that with another comma, right? So the opposite of this is the split method. And the split method splits a string into a list of substrings. And a substring is just a part of the string, okay? So we can print. I'm sorry, I should be using double quotes in this course to teach you guys. So we join it with the double quotes. So we'll print hello world, and we're going to split it using a comma. We're going to split wherever we find a comma in this string. So when we print it, or when we run it, it's going to split hello world where they find the comma. Now, in order to keep track of all the stuff we're going to be doing, we can print join, and we can print split. Now, the next method I'm going to be talking about is the strip method. So strip method, and the strip method basically strips all leading or trailing characters, and it will removes spaces by default. All right, so if we print hello world, and then some more spaces. So if we have a string like that, oh, and then we dot strip it, we run this, it strips the hello world, right? So of course we're gonna need to make a new line here, and then we can print new line strip. Cool. So when we run this, we can see that all this space was stripped. It was just taken away when we print out hello world, instead of printing out this giant space, a bunch of spaces, hello world, and a bunch of spaces. Now you could put in anything, and you can put new line, you can put exclamation point, whatever, so it will remove any characters that are in the front or the end of the string. All right, so the next method we will be covering is the replace method. And the replace method replaces a substring with a different string. All right, and so we can print new line replace, and we can print hello world, and we can dot replace the word world with the word earth. There you go. So we hit run, and the replace, it just replaces the hello world with hello earth. It's pretty cool. All right, so the next method we will talk about is starts with. So the starts with method, it will basically return a Boolean value if a string starts with a certain character. So we'll print starts with, and then we can print do hello world, and we will do dot starts with, and we'll do H, because that's what it starts with. And we can whoops. So hello world that starts with H, it's true. I'll make a new line here. And now, because we have a starts with, we also have an ends with. And the ends with method will return a Boolean value if a string starts with a certain, not starts with, if it ends with a certain character. And we can print a new line ends with, and we can print hello world, and and that ends with exclamation point. Actually, we'll use a question mark as a way to show that there can be false values as well. So ends with is false. It doesn't end with a question mark, right? So the next method we'll be talking about is upper. And the upper method makes string text uppercase. So we can print hello world exclamation point dot upper, and I'll also make sure to print a new line upper, and if we run this, it will say hello world, and all the text is uppercase. Now if we have an upper method, then we should have a lower method, and the lower method will make string text lowercase. So we can print lower, and then we can print out hello world exclamation point dot lower. And if we run this, you can see it's all lowercase now. It's pretty cool. So we can do so there's also a title method, which is pretty cool. So the title method makes every substring start with a capital. So we can print a new line title, and we can print we'll type in hello world in all lowercase, world exclamation point, and if we do dot title, when we run this, it'll print hello world. So you see how this is all lowercase, but each word starts with a capital, or each substring starts with a capital. So we can go to the next one, which is lower. Now the is, actually we'll talk about is upper because we've been having this pattern. So is upper, this is upper method makes every substring start, it returns a Boolean value if string text is uppercase. So we can print /n is upper, and then we can print hello world in all caps because it needs to see that it's uppercase dot is upper, and when we run this, yes, it is uppercase, yeah, because it is all in all capitals. And if we have an is uppercase, then we have an is lowercase. So is lower method, and this will return a Boolean value if if string text is lowercase, and we can print \n is lower, and we can backslash n is lower, and we can print I'll just do hello world because this is not lowercase, right? This is in a bunch of capitals and stuff. So if we do dot is lower, and there you go. So if we run that, this is false because it isn't lowercase. This is in capital. So that's it for string methods and functions. So this is just methods, yeah. So string methods. That's it. Cool. So let's open up a new file, and we're going to, by hitting Control Shift S, and we're going to call this Numeric Functions.py. And we're going to get rid of all that. So the numeric functions, right? The first one we're going to cover is, actually let's make the title Numeric Functions. So the first one is the abs function. And this will get the absolute value. So we can print the absolute value of -50, and we can print abs. So when we run this, so when we use the absolute value, we get 50 because the absolute value is how far is the distance from a number, or how far away a number is from 0. So 50 is 50 digits away from 0, so it has the value 50. We can use round, the round function, and the round function basically rounds a float to the nearest decimal place. So we can print \n round, and we can print round, and then we can round, I don't know, 9.8, and if we run that, yeah, we'll get 10 because it rounds 9.8 to the nearest decimal place. We can use sum, and the sum function will basically add all the values in a list. So we can print the sum of, we'll make a random list. The sum of 1, 2, 5, 8, 7. Let's say this is our list. So we can add all these values together, and when we run it, we'll get 23. Cool. So we can, of course, print the name of the function we're using. So \n, we can do sum. Cool. All right, so the next function we'll cover is max. And the max function will basically find the highest number in a list. So we can do print \n max, and then we can print our maximum value in So because we're going to be using some lists, I'm going to just do L equals this list right here. And we'll find the sum of L. And then for max, we will find the highest value in L. So we can run this. And max, the highest value in this list is 8. So we can do, and if there's a max function, then there's a min function, right? So the min function, find the lowest number in a list. So we can do print \n min, and we can basically just print min L, and if we run this, it shows the lowest value in that list, which is 1. So those are all the Python functions or numeric functions we're going to cover. So you can save it, then Control-Shift-Save. All right, so we're going to make a file called iterable functions.py, and we can delete everything in here. So iterable functions, and basically we'll start off with the any function. So the any function will check to see, we'll just do checks if any values of a list follow an argument. So we'll make a nums equals a list. Do I still have this on my clipboard? Oh, I do. Okay. So we're just going to use the same list. So we can print any. Then we can print so we can do if any I is less than 10. Well, actually, for this, I'm going to use these values. So let's use 1, 3, 4, 10, 6, 8. There you go. So any of these are less than 10. So that way, I less than 10 for I in nums. Okay, so it basically says if any of these numbers are less than 10, then we can print there are numbers less than 10. All right. We can also do an all function, which does the same thing, but it checks if all values of a list follow an argument. So we can say, we'll keep using the num. So if all I less than 10 for I in nums, and basically we can print all of the numbers are less than 10. Whoops. So we can print these. So there are numbers less than 10. And so we can print all \n, and then let's make this 10 a 9. just to show that the other code is running. So when we run it, it says we have our any and there are numbers less than 10, because it iterated through and said, okay, each of these numbers are less than 10. So this is for I in nums. If the number is less than 10, then we can ensure that any of these numbers are less than 10. This does the same thing, make sure all of the numbers are less than 10. So all of these numbers are less than 10. So the next function we'll talk about is enumerate. And the enumerate function, it iterates through the indexes and values of a list. So we can print \n enumerate, and we can print, and actually we don't need to print that like that. So let's say for num in nums, we need to enumerate we can print num. So when we run this, it enumerates. So we can see each index and then the value for each index of a list. So in index position 0 is 1, index position 1 is 3, index position 2 is 4, and so on and so on and so on. So we can iterate through both the actual indexes and the values of a list. Then we have our items function. So our items function, this function will separate dictionary keys and values for iteration. All right. So let's have a laptops dictionary. Laptops, and this dictionary is equal to let's say the razor blade, and let's say the razor blade's price is like $2,200, I think. The MacBook and its price is about $1,200, I believe. So we'll just do $1,200, and we'll do the Dell XPS, and the Dell XPS, I have no idea how much it is. We'll just do $1,800. $1,800. So we have this dictionary of laptops and their prices. All right. So we can actually make sure to print so the items function actually is a method. Okay. So items method, so we can print items. So we can do for laptop in, so we can do laptop in price in the laptops dot items. We can actually print, we do an F string, the, and then whatever laptop we're on, costs, whatever price it is, and then end it. So if we run this, we can see items, right? I'll do a \n so that way we have it on the new line. So for items, we can see we can get both the laptop key and the value that it holds by splitting it into the items, right? So we can save these to two different variables using the .items method. Oh, my dog's at my door. All right. So that should be it for the actual note-taking or lesson part of this. Now we can actually get into the practice. So for this practice, we're going to be making encoder, and an encoder is basically like a cryptologic-like program that will basically format data so that way we can write it or save it or kind of encrypt it, even though encoding and encrypting are two different things. It is often used as a way to encrypt data. So that's what we're going to be doing. So basically make some sort of encryption process for the project. And some other good project ideas is a fake identity generator. We can use these methods and functions that we've learned to generate fake identities. You can also do like a basic language translator, so you can translate hello into different languages or things like that. So we're going to be making an encoder. So this is the part where if you want to try to make this project by yourself, you can go ahead and leave. And if you want to follow along with me, you can stay here with me instead. So let's save this and then make a new folder, or not a new folder, a new file. We'll call this encoder.py. Oops. And we'll save it. We'll delete all this. All right, so it's time to make the actual encoder. All right, so we'll say encoder, and we'll give ourselves credit, created by Cosmo. Cool. So we're going to be making a variable that will hold our encoded alphabet. So encoded alphabet, and this alphabet is what we will use to encode text. So use to encode text. Now we can do encoded alphabet equals this. All right, so we need to make an alphabet, right? So we can encode text. So we'll get input from the user for a message to encode, and then we'll say for each letter, if this letter is whatever, then if this letter is this letter, then we'll replace it with this letter. So we need some sort of dictionary so we can have some sort of memory suite of how to encode this data, right? So to save us some time from actually doing a bunch of annoying code stuff, let's open up our module and we'll type in A equals, and this will be our alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Make sure you spelled this right. Make sure you wrote the alphabet out correctly, because it's going to be helpful. So we have this A variable that represents our alphabet, and then we're going to have R, and this is going to stand for our reversed alphabet. So this will just be equal A, and then we will use list indexing to reverse the alphabet variable. So for I in the range of 26, print an F string, and in this F string we will do a \t, then we will do a \double quote, then we will do the area where we input our data, and this will be alphabet, which is our A variable, and then we want to get the index, which is I, and then we want to add a double quote after that, then a colon, then a double quote, and then our data for the reversed alphabet with the same index, and then double quote, and then a comma. When we run this, it should give us our dictionary we're going to use, and we can paste that right here. So now we have a dictionary for us. So now we didn't have to write this whole thing out, because that would have been kind of annoying. So this, our encoded, there you go. So our encoded alphabet is basically a dictionary holding a key with A, the A value, and it's going to be equal to Z. And it's just basically going to have, each letter is going to be equal to the letters of the alphabet going backwards, basically, right? So this is how we're going to basically encrypt data, right? So now that we have that done, we need to make our symbols that can't be encoded. Because if they put like a period in the message we're trying to encode, it's going to look through this and be like, well, there's no period. What do we do with this? So it could crash the code. It can cause errors. So in order to do that, we'll have a symbols variable. In this symbols variable, it's just going to be equal to a bunch of random symbols. So I'm going to just hold my shift key, hit the top row of the keyboard, and then take off my shift key and go back. And then I'm gonna do the symbols at the end, towards the end of your keyboard. Oh, whoops, I didn't hit that. Just do a backslash double quote. And if we run this, there you go, we can print our symbols. So we don't actually need to print our symbols, we just need the symbol variable. So now we can make our banner. And our banner is just going to print, and then we can do a basic encoder. All right, and then we can have our option menu. So let's do option menu. And we can do print. Choose an option, and we'll do the backslash n. We'll have option 1 is to encode, and backslash n. Option 2 will be to decode, and then a backslash n. This and that. There you go. So now we can get user input, and this user input will be their option. So we can do option is equal to input, and then we'll simply ask them for their option. And just like that. And then we'll ask them for their message. So user input message. And we'll just do message is equal to input. And we'll ask them for enter text to translate. And we can do the, whoops. So they can enter the text that we want to translate, or encode or decode or whatever. And we can do our empty output variable. So we can just do output equals an empty string. And then now we can start the iteration process, right? So we can iterates through message characters, because we need to iterate through each character in the message and then encode each character, right? So we can do for character in message, and then we can iterate. So we iterate through the encoded alphabet. All right, and now we can just say for standard So for the standard alphabet and the encoded alphabet, in the encoded alphabet dot items encoded alphabet dot items, and then we can do the encoding process. And this will be basically if they chose option 1. So if option is equal to 1, we can check if the character is lowercase, right? So check if, because remember Python's case sensitive, so a capital A is completely different from these lowercase letters. So we can do if option equals 1, if character dot is lower and the character is equal to the standard version of the standard letter of the character, then we can output plus equals the encoded character. All right, yeah, so we can break this because we don't need to iterate through that, because we don't need to iterate through that section anymore because we got the correct character. If the character dot is uppercase and the character as a lowercase letter, so dot lower, is equal to the standard, then we can output plus equals the encoded character, and then we'll put it in uppercase because it's an uppercase character, so we can keep the text looking as it was when it was inputted, but just encoded. So this will so we can do check if, I never finished it. Check if character is lowercase, and this will check if a character is uppercase. And that's the encoding process done. So we can do decoding process, and that would be if option is equal to 2, then we can do checks all right, we can actually copy most of this. We're going to have to do some tweaks. We can copy this section and we'll paste it in here. So we'll check if the character is lowercase. So if option is equal to 2, then check if character is lowercase. So we're going to have to make the standard, but if, and this will have to be encoded. So if the character as a lowercase letter is, and if the character is lowercase and it is equal to the encoded version of the character, then we can output the standard version of the character and we can break the code. Then we can also do the same thing. So if the character is an uppercase letter and the character as a lowercase letter is equal to the encoded character, then we can output plus the standard version of the letter as an uppercase. then we can just do outputs encoded slash decoded message. So we can just print an F string, and we can just say new message colon backslash n, and then in here we can just do output and then close it off, and that's it. So if we run this, and hopefully there are no errors, it will say basic encoder. Okay, so let's add a new line here. Let's try that again. There's a basic encoder. So we can choose an option, encode or decode. We choose option 1 to encode. The text we want to translate is hello world. And then the new message is Suval Dillo. Okay, so we need to be able to detect for characters that aren't part of the program. So we can do adds unrecognized characters to output. And this will avoid exceptions. So we can do if the character is in symbols, we can do output plus equals character, and then we can break the loop. So when we run this, oh yeah, and we can print the new message on a new line as well. And we can run this. So option, let's encode a message, and if we type in subscribe to Cosmodium CS, new message. Okay, oh, we need to add a space as a unrecognized character. So we can just add a space right here, and I'm going to copy this and paste it right here. So enter text to translate. Oh, whoops. Okay, let's try this again. Sorry. Let's choose an option 1, and the text we want to translate is subscribe to Cosmodium CS. And there you go. So we have a new message. Subscribe to Cosmodium CS. So if we try to decode it, so we'll hit 2 to decode. We will paste in this encoded text, and it says subscribe to Cosmodium CS. So if you want to, like, encrypt a message and send it to your friends or something, and you can make your own alphabet, whatever, you can have each letter have a value of an emoji or something, or a completely random, like a number of some sort, or, some sort of symbol or whatever. So you can have your own alphabet that will encode the message differently. But that should be it, because that works, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and check out, see what other projects we made. So we can see module 7, and we have about 4 programs we were able to make in this segment. And I know in the next module we will be working with files, because Python can actually edit files, and we can read files and edit files and do all this other cool stuff. So we're going to check that out in the next module. So I'll see you guys over there. So make sure to leave a like, subscribe, do the whole YouTube algorithm thing. If you're taking this course on the website, then you guys can go ahead and try the quiz yourself in the quiz below, or keep practicing and things like that. If you guys are on YouTube, I do suggest heading over to the website and trying to enroll in the course over there, because it's pretty cool. Plus, once you finish, you can get a certificate, but it is $15, but it's only $15. So if you guys want to get a cool little certificate for finishing this course, you guys can go over there and do so. Links are in the description if you want a more clarified version of that. watch the first video, or I'll put a little segment right here or something. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next module. So stay happy, stay positive, and as always, happy hacking.